Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to SA Accounting Academy. Here's a short clip on one of our previous webinars. I hope that you really do enjoy it.
So I am here and we are ready to go for this month's MCLU. Lots of different things we can talk about, lots of different information we can share. As always with these sessions, they are meant to be an overview, sort of pointing in the right direction, showing you what you can do and what you can look at. There is, I think I uploaded something like 50 different source documents that I've submitted to SAAA that sit behind the slides today. So if you are, if I mention things and you want the source document for it, because I won't necessarily go into detail and everything, we don't have the time for that. But at least you know where it comes from and you can read up a little bit more on it. As always, being October, we are going to be looking at September information. Always a bit of a crossover sometimes with Letty and myself. And when I chat to, we chat to the committee and we talk about it, I have to say that, Letty and I have very different styles. So maybe I'd discuss things in a different way to her. And it just enriches you that much more to have different opinions and different ways of looking at things. So I hope that everybody is well. I have to say Thursday is literally Friday Eve. And I hope that the week is winding down for you rather than ramping up. So with that in mind, I'm sure that SAAA will also upload the assessment for those of you that like to do the assessment as we go along. I have submitted it. Literally, it's hot off the press, and we'll go from there. I will check in every now and then for questions. I don't want to get distracted or sidetracked too much at times. I know that my natural instinct is to take questions as and when I see them, but I need to be aware that we have to cover everything and get to where we need to go. So on that note, and we will take a break at 10 o'clock just to stretch our legs and to basically shake out our brains and carry on for the rest of the afternoon. So so you're encouraged to ask questions, you're encouraged to comment. If I see a bit of a conversation happening in the question box, I might not get involved and I'll just let you talk and comment with each other. And if I see that I need to get involved, I'll get involved. Otherwise, I will sort of finish a section and then check to see what the questions are and handle the questions sort of in batches if I can. Okay. Those of you that are new to this platform, this is me. Those of you that know me well, this is me. And please feel free to look me up and read up about me if you're wanting to know more about me. But I am the captain of the ship for the next 2 hours. Okay. Our course outline for these sessions is pretty much set and the same. We sort of unpack it in a certain pattern, in a certain way. We are pretty much scouring, the whole month for different things and different what's going on here or there. Having said that, we're also human and we might miss something here or miss something there. These sessions are also meant to give you a broad overview about the landscape and the ecosystem and the environment that is happening around us from a legal perspective and from a compliance perspective, really to give you the Kontiki tour through the space. And then, we'll pick up on certain topics through other courses and other conversations. And some of them are just interesting. Some of these are things that we might not normally even know exist. And we're just really raising them to your attention. Okay. So pretty much the standard flow that at least I follow is looking at accounting and auditing, which is really our standards elements, not so much laws. Then company secretarial, we'll just touch base on. That's really looking for notices or anything interesting there. Employment law, other bits and pieces that are happening. Tax, those of you that have been in sessions with me before know that I usually joke and say the last time I studied tax was in the last millennium, a couple of centuries ago, definitely a few decades ago. But I do have a phenomenal tax associate that works with me, and she writes newsletters, and I pretty much, with her permission, of course, use those newsletters to show you what's up. I do take her newsletters from, for example, August and September whilst presenting in October, just in case there's something there that is of interest, and go through it in that manner. But I am not a tax specialist. I specialize in many things, but tax is not one of those areas. And I come with a disclaimer when it comes to tax. And then obviously we look at the regulators in case we've missed anything, and then any other interesting articles we might have found. Okay, so that's really the agenda and the tour that we'll be taking this morning. And I hope that you pick up some interesting tidbits here and there. We always like to have a quote. And this is a quote. I was watching a podcast during the last week or so, and somebody else was talking about this quote, and it sort of struck me a little bit. Again, I'm an ethics specialist, and so I'm always thinking about who you are, what you are, how do we do things better, how do we do things right, how do we lead by example. It's very much a passion of mine. And this particular Napoleon Hill, and I realized when I was typing it that I'd used Napoleon Hill in the last MCLU as well, but you become what you think about. And it's quite a profound statement if you unpack it a little bit. So what is it that you spend the most energy and most thought on? Because that is really what drives who and what you are. And this particular person was chatting about how his mentor had sort of put this quote into his head and said, you know, you really have to pay attention to what you're thinking. You really have to pay attention to where your energy is at, because what you think is what you become. And this mentor of his would pounce on him every once in a while and say, you know, like, Caryn, what are you thinking? And if he turned around and said nothing, he said, well, are you going to become nothing? And it made him realize that if he wants to become something, if he wants to be something, if he wants to do something, he actually has to put his mental energy into that space. And I think it's very easy to get caught up in the negativity. It's very easy to get caught up into the chaos and the crisis that is always around us. But we do have pockets of excellence. We are not helpless. We are not powerless. But we have to put our energy into the right space. And our mental energy, you know, our thoughts, our actions will follow our thoughts. So you become what you think about. Okay, so sometimes do a bit of an audit as to where your head is. Okay. Someone's just saying it's a good thing that I think about chocolate as comfort a lot. Well, you become what you think about, Marburg. Anyway, so getting into the nuts and bolts of today's session, I've got a biggie in accounting, and I am going to revisit this later in November in the accounting update that I'm doing. The accounting update that I'm doing is quite a mixed bag. It's almost a bit of another session like this, but focused really on accounting, and I'm even bringing some quality into it. But my big beast that I think I want to spend a lot of time in different arenas, different platforms working with is this IFRS for SMEs new exposure draft. Okay, that's been issued in September. I'll get to why, what, when, and how in a bit. There's always the new summaries. They're always updating the work plan. Okay, there's been a lot of things that they've been working through and getting to. September was the third quarter of the year, and so there were obviously targets that they had to meet by that stage, and things are obviously moving along. But IFRS for SMEs, the exposure draft, I'm not going to go into that. I could spend 4 hours talking about this new exposure draft, and I have spent 4 hours with various different clients going through this new exposure draft. But I want to discuss where we're at with it and why it's so important for us to think about it and engage with it and not ignore what is happening around it at the moment. As far as other things that are out there, they are obviously looking at, in IFRS 16, they're looking at sale and leaseback transactions. And this was a challenge that they had when they issued IFRS 16. They kind of didn't think sale and leaseback would be an issue. Okay, so they thought that sale and leaseback would be just die a natural death, and that they didn't have to address it in the standard, because in their mind, well, you sold something IFRS 15, you leased it back IFRS 16. There we go. That's what you need to do.
I hope that you enjoyed that video. For more of our webinar videos, go to www.accountingacademy.co.za. Thank you and have a lovely day.